And it took me the next 10 years to figure out what that meant for me. I was sitting on my couch on a Sunday afternoon watching Becoming American, the Chinese Experience on PBS, because I was that kind of kid when I was 13. And the last 20 minutes of the documentary focused on a man named Vincent Chin. He was a Chinese-American man who was beaten to death at his bachelor party by two white laid-off auto workers who thought he was Japanese during the auto worker crisis. And I would have just put that in the back of my mind, you know, as I did with like the dead white guys in history. And I started watching and I saw a sea of Asian Americans marching for the first time, right? They were fighting for justice for this man. And my mom just happens to walk into the room and it's like, "Gogo he lei Biuko," that's your uncle. And Biuko is like a blood relative. So I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And my mom never mentioned it again. She's never said a word to me about it to this day. And I wondered why. Like, how come no one has told me about this? Like, I'm asking cousins, I'm asking uncles, aunties, no one's told me about Vincent. And it comes with that like rocking the boat mentality. You can't rock the boat as an immigrant kid. You can't speak out. And, you know, Vincent never got justice. The guys paid $3,000 for him, and they never spent a day in jail, right? So I'm like, who is he? Now to do slide research, like how am I related to this guy? And so I do research. Michael Moore has written about him. And when I'm 18 years old, I watch a documentary, Who Killed Vincent Chin? And for the first time I see this woman, Lily Chin, his mother, saying, "I want justice for my son," on the screen. She looks and sounds exactly like my great auntie and my grandmother. And I still don't know who she is. I still don't know how I'm related to her. And no one will tell me, so I finally go to Detroit. I start my teaching career, and I'm like, all right, let me do a solo trip out there. And the first thing I do is see Vincent's grave. And I'm like, no, this is not a ghost. This is someone real in the ground. Lily and David are real in the ground. I go see my great auntie, and I'm like, hey, can you make a family tree for me? I have been trying so hard for the past 10 years to figure out how I'm related to this family. She lays out one brother, 9 sisters. Secondly, Yihu, Lily, my second great aunt is Lily. Go sister. The 4th sister is your grandma, your maternal grandmother. And I'm your 8th great auntie. And I look at this family tree and I see all the kids who survived, they had kids. Those kids had kids, and some of those kids had kids, except Lily, because her son died that day. Instead of going to her wedding, everyone went to her funeral instead, his funeral instead. I asked, what happened after Vince's death? What did you do? She's like, well, me and your grandma flew from China to America to support Lily because she was all alone in Detroit. And we had to be there. And your grandmother did not want to learn how to drive, so she moved to Chicago. And then she brought your mom over to Milwaukee, and we found work in New York. And that's how your family ended up there. They immigrated from China, my parents, after Vincent's death, after my grandmother got them up here. And from a country that had a one-child policy. And I am the second child of 3. And I realized at that moment, if my uncle had not died, if Lily had not spoken out for her son, no one would know his name today. But moreover, if she hadn't called her sisters over, and if she hadn't called my mom and dad over, I may never have been born. So every single day, I'm like, my mom's message, don't rock the boat. Don't go on that bullhorn, Annie. Don't write that article in the Huffington Post. Don't fight for your special education students. Don't get fired again. don't get your principal angry. I look at my great auntie on that screen and I'm like, I have to. Vincent didn't die for nothing. Lily didn't speak out and walk all over the nation for nothing. And I was not born for nothing. Thank you.